Hi everyone, and welcome to the next video of the series on domain modeling. In the previous ones, we have done an event storm, which gives us a pretty linear view of how the domain actually works. So in this session, as we already mentioned, we're actually going to create a context map to look at the dependencies and how all these bounded contexts interact.
Okay, so let's have a look at the board. As you can see, we've already done a little bit of prep work, but only the minimal amount to get started. So what did we do? We copied over all the bounded context that we've discovered so far in the event storming, removed duplicates and make them like similar sized. You'll see we had two bounded contexts with question marks on them, which we didn't name yet. We just took that and we named them with the query that was on top of this. So is this token valid, and get nearest station with availability. Here you can see that is the token valid, which does the validation of scanning the QR code. And then we had one here with to get the nearest stations with availability. Of course, they don't have a name yet, so that probably means they're not very clear yet as well. Maybe one more thing that I'd like to do here is give some different colors at least to station and purchase bundle, so that they are a bit different. So and maybe we should, is there something else we should give a different color? Maybe price calculation is close to right. Let me see if I can find something that's not better. That's not better either. No, it's worse. Is this better? I don't know. I'll undo the price calculation one. Keep that.
Yeah.
Okay. So purchase bundle, I'll change it in the in this one as well, so we keep the colors consistently. Okay, so what's the next step now?
So now I think we go over the event storm that we had, and we look at the events and the commands on the boundaries. And then when you can see that there's a command or an event going to one of them, we know there will be a dependency, and we draw that dependency on the context map.
Okay, so if we start here, we have one between ride and purchase bundle, and also one between ride and bike availability. So we can draw those.
Okay, I'll make them a little bit bigger.
Okay, and I'll remove the arrows because the arrows don't mean anything yet. Okay.
Ride and
bike availability.
Bike availability. Oh yeah, you already did that. Great.
And then here we have a gap, which probably indicates some things. Well, no, there was no link yet, but that's something we'll need to look at a little bit more. But so let's move forward. So station doesn't have a link yet. Here we have one between ride and is this token valid with the question marks. Do you draw the lines? Then I'll go over them. And then between ride and bike selection of a station. Between ride and station.
Okay.
Between ride and bike availability. Between ride and bike selection of a station, but we had that already. Between ride and the other question mark, and between ride and the rate calculation.
Ride and rate. Yes.
And then between ride and price calculation, and between ride and rider bundle. And here, rider bundle and purchase bundle wasn't linked yet.
wasn't linked yet. Yeah.
Okay, so this immediately makes it very clear that ride is in the center of everything. We already kind of
Yeah.
talked about that. Um,
I'm just trying to make them a bit
yeah,
more. Okay. Yeah, we said it would be more of an orchestration.
yes,
So
but
when you actually just draw the lines, you can really see that, right? It's like a giant octopus sort of thing.
yeah, I'm right now though. I know we're definitely missing some. We need like there's going to be some missing things, other
Hmm.
links, but we haven't discovered them yet. I'll just increase the font size of the bounded context. So yeah, now we can see this better. So we have the right that orchestrates everything.
Hmm.
And I guess that definite. So what can we learn from this if we just look at the bounded context map?
That right is,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Okay, yeah, that right is going to be very important, or that we're like, to me, if right is connected to all those things, I wonder if this is maybe, the UI,
Mm-hmm.
because you expect this sort of pattern from UI, right? That it talks to many different things. Um, so those are sort of like right is going to be very critical. If that fails, then you basically can't do anything anymore, because that's the thing you will talk to, and that's the thing that will actually pass on everything else. Um, so that might be a
Yeah.
problem.
I yeah, and it also means that we need to be very careful with what kind of knowledge right needs from all the other bounded context, because if right needs deep knowledge from all the other bounded context, it means that yeah, that is, well, we want one bounded context to be managed by one team. And one team can of course
Hmm.
manage multiple bounded contexts, but one bounded context should belong to one team. This means that that's a team that needs to know right now about 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 other bounded contexts. If they need to know
Yeah.
a lot of deep knowledge, that's not going to be simple for that team. Um,
Yeah.
and I definitely agree, Ian, with what you said about UI thing. I think it's at least the layer that's really close to the UI. Eh?
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the thing that the UI talks to. Um, I'm wondering, well, one of the things though that we need to be careful about is there are a couple of bounded contexts here, like we have station, we have bike availability, we have bike selection of a station, we have get near a station with availability. Maybe those are
Hmm.
not for different bounded contexts. Yeah? Maybe they
Yep.
are, that was also something we said we needed to look at. Maybe these are actually belong together.
Yep.
Maybe not all of them, but maybe we, instead of 4, it's only 2 or 1.
Yeah.
That's something we need to discover. So that would already um, improve the picture a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
I was also thinking, station is hardware, which is why we gave it a different shape. Um, so I feel like there's something missing, because a ride talking directly to stations seems a bit off. Like,
yeah.
so I'm thinking maybe we'll have something in front of that, and sort of as a gateway
Mm-hmm.
to actually start talking to physical
Yeah.
stations. Um, yeah, it feels a bit off that it would talk directly to stations.
Yeah. And there is also and then the other thing that I'm noticing here is we have price calculation, rider bundle, and purchase bundle, which all are about payments for a ride. That's also something that might need to be bundled together in one way or another, or maybe there is also something in front of that. Anyway, let me have a quick. I'm not sure if this the link between ride and purchase bundle, that's not something. Yeah, we had suggest buying a new bundle. We didn't discover yet where that's coming from. So maybe let's put this one in red for now, just to indicate that we're not sure if that's a link that's already there. Okay. So maybe if we add a quick legend there.
Yes. I was doing that. You can continue in the meantime.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like what I would like to do is go over the EventStorm with this picture in mind and see if there are things that don't make sense. And if we rooted those out, then I would go into like, can we label the dependencies? Are who knows about who is the owner of the knowledge, who is the owner of the model, and how do the dependencies flow. But I would first like to go over the EventStorm at least a little bit to see if if there are things that we missed or that we already know that we should change. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Move up. So here we have we're just asking, hey, what's the current saldo for a rider? We called this purchase bundle. I'm just wondering. We also have purchase bundle. Sorry, I forgot to rename. And that's why the link was already. I made a mistake there. That link is valid. It's valid because of the beginning. The only thing that doesn't make sense now to me is that it's called purchase bundle. Because
also it says, what is the current saldo for rider X?
Yeah.
And we have a rider bundle at the end, right? Which makes it a bit more difficult to detect because you're at the ends. But that says deduct credits for rider. Basically. So seems a bit similar, right? Seems like it should belong.
It feels like that these two belong together, that rider bundle and purchase bundle. So do we make the decision for now that we remove purchase bundle and we say it's all rider bundle?
Yeah, that's good.
We can still, if we want to model it in more detail, we can still change it. I'm going to keep the yellow color and remove the pink one.
Okay.
But I'll just rename them, rider bundle. And then at the end as well, this one becomes rider bundle. Rider.
And here we have the rider bundle.
Yeah,
I need to
but
change
I just copied
color.
the style. Wrong style.
I don't have your yellow. So what we actually can do is just then delete this last one and extend this one because that's all about the same thing.
Yeah, and we did say we needed to review that, so that's definitely okay as well. Okay, so we at least we made it our picture already a little bit simpler. So we then move on into so we know that there is a positive saldo that they accepted the ride, the rate per minute.
Mhm.
Where accept rate, rate per minute. So we had rate calculation here. Where did rate calculation come into play? Here, get rates per
Yeah.
minute for the found stations. That's something in the beginning. Show overview of the rates per station. I'll
That's
duplicate
yeah.
this bounded context in here. So that's one that comes from here. So we already we know we have that one. Okay, so we know where to get the rates from. Yeah, show overview of stations with nearby availability. That's also one we need to put into a bounded context, but let's ignore that one for now.
Mhm.
We then said, so we do reserve. The reserving of a bike
Yeah.
happens on bike
Maybe
availability.
yeah. Maybe it will be interesting to copy over just those, in and outs and of those different bounded contexts and put them underneath each other because that's a bit simpler than going back and forward
That's a good idea.
between the whole part. No.
That's a good idea. I'll do bike availability. You can do another one.
Yeah. I'm making a frame next to our context map where we can copy them to.
This is exactly the same. I'll also copy
Okay.
over.
I'll
So
get the nearest stations with availability because I also hear that word availability.
yeah.
Mm. Okay, yeah. You have
And
more
how do we need to put station on there as well? Maybe
um could be interesting.
I'll just copy it over as well. Yeah. It's station. I'll move it closer. You clean it up.
Okay.
One more. And I think that's the last one here.
Okay, this looks very similar to that one. Doesn't go
Yeah.
through.
If they're the
Oh,
same, then they can be removed.
they're not 100% the same,
Ah,
but I put them on top because they both unlock bike X.
oh,
And one is technical failure, and the other one is lock must be working, which seems like a technical failure.
yeah. I think it's the same. Okay, so this is everything about bike availability, and there are some things that need to happen on the hardware.
Yeah.
Well, there are different things. We have here show overview of stations with nearby availability. Get that these two are the same. I think get nearest stations with availability.
Yeah.
So that is about. I'll just name it here. This is about finding stations with availability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Those I'm gonna draw. Yeah, I'm gonna draw a bit of an arrow here. Oh, it's still red. That's not the intent. But the thing is that bike was not reserved and station reserved will actually um influence, right?
yeah,
Those are events that influence your query. So there is a link somehow there.
yeah. I'll change
Um,
the link type to a
yeah.
striped line, yeah, because it's similar to this, but and I'll also reverse it there because it's basically the same as that kind of dependency between a constraint and an event, and but now it's between a query and an event. The only thing here, what I would say, and now I'm talking as a domain expert, um, availability is not the same as I can reserve a bike. If there are things like is the bike charged enough? Is it
Mm-hmm.
working properly? Properly? Is it not marked for maintenance? Maybe maintenance. Maybe it's marked by fleet management, where they say I want to move a certain amount of bikes around to fill stations that are empty. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not saying all of these are going to have an influences on, hey, are these are these is this a station with availability, but they might have an influence on that. And those are things we haven't event stormed. So I'm just saying that there's going to be a lot more events
Yeah.
that are related to this kind of things. Yeah.
Yes.
So
So, is you talk about is the bike working properly? Uh is it charged enough? Is it marked for me? So that all goes about specific bikes, and bike selection of a station also talks about a specific bike.
yeah,
Um, and then we have that very general reserve bike where like we don't care, just get us one. Um, so that's interesting. So I'm actually going to adapt the language a bit because we select, but what we want is to reserve a specific bike. So
wasn't
I'm
this
going to,
one really about selecting it? Because wasn't this in the context where so we select this bike so that the station can unlock it?
Mhm.
That's really so. The way we said it worked is we when you start a ride, we're going to assure that there is a bike. But at that point in time, we don't care about which bike yet, and that's the bike availability. Reserve a bike, okay. The station reserved a bike for the
Yeah.
ride. Which one? We don't care. And then um, a bit later in the process, when we're at the station and we're proving that we're there. At that point in
Mhm.
time, we're saying, hey, now it's the time to select a very specific bike so that we can unlock that one.
Yeah. But I think if you like, it depends how you look at the word reserve, because you can still say like until that bike is unlocked, you are doing a form of reservation.
Yeah.
And either you can reserve for something very specific, or you can just reserve out of a pool, but it's still doing a reservation. And then reservation has the definition of holding something because it is dedicated to a ride.
True, but I'm not sure what I agree with what you're saying. I don't understand why you changed select to reserve. Why is to reserve better here?
Um, because if like we talk about reserving a bike in bike availability, and we talk about selecting a bike in bike selection of a station. So I wanted to change this also to reserve, because we can apply the same term to that. And because we actually match those two words together, we could now start thinking of different ways to model this because it has similar language. When you say select and reserve, you're kind of giving the indication, hey, they're two completely different things, but they're not. In one case, you reserve a bike, but you don't really care about which one it is. And in the other thing, you reserve a bike, but you do care about which bike it is. And by changing that language, you make it more obvious there's actually a connection there. In language, a language meaning connection.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to change it. Yeah. Because then you could say, what if we model it differently? Like, what if the ride actually just, picks a bike, and we just say, okay, we don't allow reserving a bike anymore that is not a specific bike, right? We model this in a way that you always have to say reserve this bike, and how would that influence the design? Which was something a lot more difficult to do because you were working with different words. One was select and the other was reserve. That's sort of why I changed the language.
Okay. I definitely agree that that's an option. But I would say, if I look at our bounded context map, that this is not something that Wright should be concerned about. Like,
Yeah,
for me,
whether
the
this
only
is
thing from a perspective of Wright, as Wright, I want to say, okay, hey, I need a bike. Just make sure that there is one. I don't care which bike. I need a bike at this specific station. That is our reserve bike. So that is what is right is sending to someone or to something, to some bounded context, and that bounded context says it's okay. Here is your reservation number or whatever. And then at a later point in time, it's right is just saying, okay, now the person that wants to start the ride wants to start it, here is the reservation number. And so at that point, it's up to the station to select the bike, or maybe it was already selected. From a perspective of ride, I don't care at all.
Yeah, but I'm gonna bring you to me, so
Go ahead.
we're all gonna see it jump. So the only reason that ride is in between here. You say a reserved bike must be available, and then we send, okay, at station reserved bike, or we actually cannot do that. And then the ride will actually select a very specific bike from station. If I see this, then I'm wondering why ride is actually in between here.
I agree.
Maybe we can just make that internal.
But I'm now a little bit confused because
sorry,
I'll jump you back a little bit. We already had this here as well.
Yeah.
We have the accept rate and start ride, and then we first reserve a ride before we can say ride was started, because we're saying when we say to the rider your ride is started, we're doing our very best to make sure that there is a bike available. So that's why we've put that in between. This flow here is when there was a technical failure. And then we had a different kind of flow. But I agree, maybe in this particular flow, we can get rid of some of it. But at this point in time, in the beginning, we don't care about that yet. And I would say, so the more I think about it, the more I think that this is, well, the thing that decides which specific bike we're going to take, that thing needs to know about, for example, okay, what is the bike with the best charge, or maybe with the lowest available charge that's still good enough, or maybe the one with the least amount of kilometers driven on the bike. So hey, we can spread evenly, so that we don't have bikes that are never driven and other bikes that are driven all the time. But that's not a concern for, is there a bike available? That thing just needs to say, okay, yeah, I reserve the bike at that station. That's
Okay,
not to
yeah.
say that that doesn't mean we cannot merge those bounded contexts, because they are doing similar things. But one of these is a lot simpler. One of them is just, I have a pool of 5 bikes available at the station. I get reserved bike. I now only have 4 available.
Yeah, one is the public. Yeah, I was going to say something, but that already hits into a direction. I was going to say, like, the way the public interface is going to be a lot simpler, because I agree, like, a ride shouldn't know about any specific bike. But then I think you will have other bounded contexts talking to it that will give you a lot more specific information.
Yeah. Maybe we need to, instead of talking about it, try to model it a little bit. Yeah. We've been talking for a long while. So can we start from what we have here to model it, or do we need to duplicate?
I think we can, because we also have everything on a station, and I kind of think like the technical failure is the reason why. We just need to put rides between it again.
Yeah, but let's assume that the empty spots are right for a second. I want to, like, I'm going to change this bike availability for station. And what we want to, I'm going to add some attributes. So we definitely are asking for a specific station. Hey, we want to reserve a bike at the station. So maybe I'll just reserve bike at station. Well, we still give the station. Is there something else we need to pass in? Let's assume not, so. And let's say that we in the return we get a reservation number back.
Yeah.
Like, this is your reservation number. Okay. And now we need to have a look. At some point, I think at some point we said rider proof that they're at the station. Yeah, and that's the starting point. Yeah, rider proof that they're at the station. That's the starting point to unlock. And I'm wondering if we would change that order around. What we could do is change the orchestration. Like now, right now, how it works is we prove that they're at the station. Then we say, hey, select a specific bike. And then we talk to the station, hey, unlock that bike. If we change the orchestration here, and we're saying to the station, hey, unlock the bike with this reservation number, then it's up to the station to select internally a bike and unlock it. I'll show you what I mean.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Okay, so let me copy that. And so here, and you're completely right, I should have also duplicated right in here. Sorry. So at some point, we know that the rider proved that they're at the station. And this is how it works currently. Then we say to bike selection, do this, and I'm proposing it to change it, or well, not proposing, I'm trying something. So let's say that this is station as well.
Yes.
And it's am I going I'm going to give it the same color, but so it's a bounded context now, and we're saying, hey, unlock but maybe I need to I'm going to not call it unlock bike. I'm going to call it handle ride. It's not a better word yet, but what I'm intending here is, as a ride right now, I've done my work.
Yeah.
And now I pass it on to the station. And so what
I
I
have a
pass in,
reservation number,
yeah,
and I just pass it on.
I have the reservation number. It's going to, some other things are going to go in there as well, of course. And then this one is going to be removed. We have the next thing, which would be, okay, we now going to select specific bike from the station. We selected it, and we then unlock the bike.
Yep.
And now it's a concern of station to do
Yes.
that. And the concern of station is also to communicate with the hardware of station, and it's not a ride anymore that's communicating with the hardware of station.
One thing what is it? Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry, I'm getting weird stuff. We'll have something here because we get the reservation number, and that's all we get. So we will actually need to try to get the info of that reservation number, because either way, so
Yeah, we need to
can
know
say,
that the
okay,
reservation is still valid.
yeah, we need to know that that reservation is still valid, but also we just have a reservation number. We need to know for which station that reservation actually has been made. So there will be a communication between station and availability for station.
That's a good point. Let's add that on here. So let's call it basically we could do it with I think we can do it with
Query,
a query. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be
So
query.
is this reservation valid, and the reservation number and the station.
Yeah.
And let's put that in between. So here we would have a check reservation. I'll move all of this to the right. Put this one. Yeah. Something like this,
Yep.
And then we continue again. Yeah, I definitely agree. Because bike availability will also have something like, it will also need commands like remove reservation. And at that point, it's not, well, it's valid if it's not removed yet, and it's also valid if it's for the correct station. Yeah. Okay. The thing is, though, this is, I would say this is something this responsibility we could still put in right as well. And say, if a station gets the ride with the reservation number, station is allowed to assume that it's valid.
Yeah.
So, but I'll just add it as a note. Yeah. Station would make the assumption the reservation is valid. Because it received it from right, it's not that it received it from some untrustworthy source. Okay, but so if we have this, well, we basically changed bike selection of a station to station now. We definitely we removed right from here, and the decision in this in the lower model is that or the idea would be that we have a station bounded context that communicates with the station hardware. And would that be the only thing that's allowed to communicate with that, so that, well, that would make it easier for write?
I would think of a sort of a gateway. I'm not sure that's the right word, but it's sort of a gateway pattern. That you have something in front, you have software in front of the hardware, and only that actually talks directly to the hardware.
Yeah. So in our bounded context map, that would look like we would have station where this one write talks to station and station talks to station hardware.
Yeah.
The only thing, if I'm looking at it, is so we haven't, well, we changed something, but we didn't, well, I think we removed the bike selection of a station in this case. Bike selection of a station now. In my bounded context map, I'll just we basically said bike selection of a station is now part of station. Okay, so we also changed that bike selection is not connected to ride anymore, but actually to station. Well, actually we said the bike selection becomes a part of station. We can still see if that would be something separate or inside, but for now we kept it inside. So it looks like we've simplified our bounded context map already a little bit. How do we feel about that?
I have a good feeling about the write bundle and the purchase bundle being united. I also think it's good that we have that layer in between the ride and the hardware, so that we sort of make sure we don't directly talk to hardware from anywhere else. And we have less bounded context around that. The only thing I'm having a bit of difficulty with right now is sort of to understand how that all changed, in the flow we had. So I think a good idea would be to refactor that and sort of
so
check it there.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to validate if the idea of, hey, let's maintain an adapter or whatever layer between the station hardware and the ride in the form of a station bounded context that handles everything, and also can we at some point say that ride passes on the responsibility of execution of a ride to station, and then when the ride is done, coming back to ride, we need to refactor our model to see if that actually works, because there definitely are some things that we'll need to clean up there as well. So I think that would be a nice topic for the next video, that we try to refactor our EventStorm into this idea of the new bounded context.
Yeah, but like a context mapping did give us a different perspective. It showed us that giant octopus thing that was happening, and it triggered other ideas and further exploration of tiny bits to see how we can change that. So it's very valuable to just say, okay, we did the sort of the basic, the end to end. Let's now get a different view, a different perspective onto something to see how we can actually dig a bit deeper and make it better.
Yeah, true. The overview that context map gave us immediately hinted at some potential issues that were not necessarily easily to spot in the event storming. They were visible, but they're really much more in your face when you're just looking at the context map. Okay, nice. So let's see each other in the next video to try to refactor our model into this new idea we have. Bye.
All right. See you, everyone.